Okay. Yo, what is up, guys? Ken Senpai here, and today we're talking about that JoJo Part 5 greatness with my brothers. May you guys introduce yourselves.
MakenshiCritiques, no Makenshi Dick Res Ferran. It's great to be here as always.
Go ahead, Mr. X.
Mr. X reacts. First time here. Thank you for having me, boys.
Grease Lightning Reactions. Pleasure always, man.
Oh man, it feels so good to be here with you guys, and we can just talk about the greatness of JoJo. What is JoJo? Currently, we're going to be talking about episodes 6 through 7 since we weren't able to talk about episode 6 before. So you're going to hear our thoughts, our opinions, and we'll describe our, beliefs on what will happen in the future, like episode 8, for example.
Yeah.
You guys have anything you want to start off with, like about episode 7 or episode 6?
I think 6 we can talk about the fight, how it turned out, right? Because I know we were all speculating, right, about Zuccharo's power, how it worked, where he was hiding, and then when they revealed it, like, what do you guys think about when they finally revealed what his power was? Because that was the weirdest freaking power ever, man. Like,
yeah, I did not see that coming at all.
Yeah,
but we can say it's bizarre.
Yeah,
exactly.
Bad joke. I'll stop.
These are famous jokes.
Yeah. They're not as bad as Mr. X's jokes about Sunday the 18th or whatever it was.
Ouch.
Yeah. But yeah, did you guys think, like, scientifically, none of these powers make sense? Like, how do you deflate a boat, right, made of metal and cogs, and, like, all that stuff? But I thought it was really interesting that he's got this kind of octopus-like motif, right? Like I was saying that, you know how octopuses can hide into cracks between rocks, like really, really narrow areas? And Zuccharo himself was literally like hiding in between the boats. Like, what do you guys think of his power and everything? And do you think that it was a good showcase of his powers, like considering how easily he got beat in the end?
Honestly, I feel like it was a perfect showcase. I really enjoyed it. Like, it was so mysterious because we're getting attacked and we don't know what's happening. We're like, how is this happening? You know what I mean? Yeah. We think he's in the ship. We're like, where is he? And we find out, like, wow, this is his ability. This is what he can do. Yeah.
I mean, he got the drop on them, right? So he was actually pretty powerful until he got found out, because it kind of reminded me of, like, as long as you're hiding, he was just basically one-on-one, took all of them out. But when they found him out, he was just unraveled, right? And that boat was like wrapped around another boat. Do you guys think he was defeated? Because the same with the Popo, right? He's such a huge presence, right? Such a big position, and we had maybe 1.5 episodes worth of fight with him. Do you guys think that he could have put on more of a challenge, Ken?
Ooh.
Personally, I think he did well.
Yeah,
I think it's really showcased, like his powers, his stance specifically showcased how crazy or insane it's going to be out from here on out. Because I'm pretty sure none of us would ever in a million years have expected something like that. Yeah. So and that's just the beginning. So there's just a lot more. It's just going to get a lot crazier and crazier. And I don't think we need to spend too much time on just him. Considering there's probably going to be, you don't even need to be, people in higher positions. You could have just the average Joe that has a stand, but like his stand, that stand could be so crazy that it could cause so many issues. So I don't think you need to spend too much time. More so, the stand it's just going to get more and more crazy from here on out.
Yeah.
Agreed. I feel like when it comes to stands, it's not about like the ability. I mean, of course, the ability matters, but about how you use it. Because if you know how to use your stand ability, you can beat almost anybody if you know how to use it properly. I feel like that's how it works out with stands.
Yeah. Would you guys think of Abbacchio's stand when they revealed it, with him being able to set a timer and him being able to, because that was the fight where they used like passive abilities. So combining Abbacchio's stand power with the Giorno's fly thing, like being attracted to him, they were using two non-lethal abilities to do that. Do you guys find that cool? Because I actually really found that cool, that episode. That for once we're actually seeing abilities being used that are passive, like, rather than offensive, like just tear shit up and hope for the best, right?
Yeah, Abbacchio
I
Stem really.
always like investigations, so
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing with, I think it just worked out really perfectly because the fly itself served a couple purposes. Like it targeted the guy, whatever his name is. What's his name? Yeah, Zuccharo.
Yeah.
It targeted him, and at the same time, it let the others know that Giorno is still alive, because if it goes away, then you know that something bad happened to them. But they gave them a reason to search.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I just like the design of Abbacchio's freaking stand in general. I think it's one of the more well thought out designs. If you look at the eyes being tape recorders and
yeah.
Yeah.
I was half expecting to not like Abbacchio. I don't know why. Do you remember like they cliffhangered him at the end of 5, right? And for some reason, I didn't expect if they were going to do his backstory. I totally wasn't expecting them to do that backstory the way they did it with him, which actually like surprised me, man. Like, what do you think, like Ken? Like, were you surprised how much you enjoyed that?
Yeah, honestly, I really enjoyed the backstory. It really set the mood and tone for his character.
Yeah.
And just like why he became a gang star and all of that. And I feel like a thing we may see like this season, like maybe next episode we'll get a backstory from Mista as well. Like as the characters go on, we'll get a backstory from them kind of thing. And I really would enjoy something like that, because I need to know what Mista, like his whole phobia for all of that, where it all, came from. Yeah. But with Abbacchio's backstory, I really liked it, because you see, the thing is, it's not only something that is, in the anime, but it's really going on in the real world. The police, the system is corrupt. Although, it's not all, like, I'm not going to say all cops are bad or anything like that. But when you see Abbacchio, he's taking money from gangsters and whatnot. He's overlooking things, salutary neglect, just in order to make a living, because he knows that justice isn't prevailing, that even if he does good, he arrests this guy, he's going to come out the next day. I really liked it. Really emotional.
Yeah. Do you guys find these characters more uncomfortable than some of the other main characters in previous ones? Because obviously we're going to talk about like 7 later, but they're slightly uncomfortable, like really rough around the edges. Like they're almost very bipolar, right? Like they're really heroic, really great when they need to be, but they're pretty savage themselves, man. Like the way they kill people.
The way I see it really is that they are the Jotaro, and the main character this time is the Koichi in a way.
Oh wow! All right, that's a pretty good spin on it.
Yeah.
Explain. Well, they all have this. They all have this rough attitude. This, we're here to cause mayhem, kind of. But deep down, that they're actually good people. That they have the morals. That they have the principles, which was very similar to Jotaro. And then you have Giorno, who's kind of like, I'm not really, whatever, kind of, whatever, kind of, okay, cool. And that kind of is just a little bit of a contrast, like the other, I guess the word I want to use is battle-hardened gangsters.
We're still trying to figure out, like people are saying, like, at least from our perspective, we're trying to figure out why Abbacchio took Bruno's proposition, right? When Bruno approached him in the rain, right? Like when he was drunk and stuff. Like there's still more to be told about these characters, which I think is interesting, because he obviously, I guess he feels not regretful in a way. He looks all like sad and broken and shit, but he decided to go even further, deeper down into the criminal life, right? He wasn't just a cop taking bribes anymore. Now he's like he was working under Bruno, under Popo. So it's interesting why he decides to take that path, right? Like fully commit to the criminal lifestyle. So I think that might be interesting to see.
I do feel though, like Bruno, even though Abbacchio decides to join them, I feel like Bruno is way better than the cops in this, like, and even better than most gangsters. Like he kind of gives off a vibe like, he's someone who really cares for people, and he's a good man. So I feel like maybe that could be a reason why Abbacchio chose to join Bruno, because of his reputation, how people love him, as well as the fact that he's not like all these criminals out here. He's not the same as them.
Yeah. Do you think it's weird, like how these guys all got together, like these personalities, Mista, Narancia, Fugo? These are people that you look at and go, these guys will never be friends. They never get along with each other. But somehow they managed to. They've been brought together by Bruno. So there's something shared, right? There's something weird and shared between these guys that I've always found weird. That I really want to find out, like right when they were joining this group and how they got along. Did they have beefs and they got over their beefs? And we're in that position with Giorno, right? He's just joining this gang. He's gonna have his differences, right? But what is it? That one thing that brings them together, and it's not just drugs. Drugs is just what brings Bruno and Giorno together, I think. And Greece, like this is the first time you're here. Who do you like the most from that group? This group.
I mean, are you including Giorno in this?
No Giorno. Just
sure.
No Giorno. Okay. I mean, I'd say Bucciarati in general has always been my favorite so far. So
yeah.
Because the one thing is he just surprised me early on because I didn't think he'd be a recurring character when he was first introduced.
You thought he'd be gone like Leaky Eye Luke or something like that. Or...
Yeah, because even Leaky Eye, it seemed like he might be like, in JoJo's it's always a joke because the dude who's super well designed and it looks like a thug is probably a thug, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought it's one and done. Let's move forward. I figured that Koichi would be spun into this story really early on, and he might be like a sidekick in this part. But it just surprised me that Bruno just became this figure that had so much influence over everything, and it almost seemed a little sudden that Bruno and Giorno kind of got together, and all of a sudden, like I didn't really peg Bruno as someone who would go against the other authority, but he just kind of surprised me when he did.
Yeah, I mean. It's weird because I agree with what you're saying. Like, I didn't expect these minor characters to be so memorable. Like, people are actually quite surprised. I don't know if they're like that with you, Prince or Ken, but like they're so memorable. Like, do you remember how Stardust Crusaders were like Monster of the Week? But we remember all the thugs they were fighting. I think this part is even more so. Like, every minor character's got a quirk. You recognize their stand power, you recognize their voices, or you recognize. I thought that was kind of cool, man. Even for someone like Zuccharo, I thought he could easily be a major antagonist in the series. But to think that we're going to get like 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 mini enemies is kind of exciting, I think.
Yeah, and actually, why Part 3 is my favorite, just because the characters are so memorable.
Yeah, definitely memorable. Like, how do you pronounce the name? Zuccharo?
I used to say Zuccharo, but someone Zuccharo apparently, like Abbacchio, something like that.
That's what I was saying. Half the comments are just people telling you how to pronounce someone.
Yeah, that's all it is, man. It's not like they knew. They had to Google that shit when they read the manga. So they chat shit, man. I swear.
Oh man, Zuccharo. I don't know. Like the whole thing with him, like his hairstyle and his outfit. It kind of rubs me off the wrong way. Not that he's not well designed. It's just that the spikes. I don't know the spikes. It's something about the spikes on his outfit. It throws me off a little bit.
He was like a tentacle monster slash octopus. He was kind of like. He was funny as well.
Speaking to the earlier conversation about Zuccharo being taken care of so fast, did you guys not feel him coming off as like more of the lackey type? Because the other guy, the guy we see in episode 7, who's just trying to escape, he kind of goes against everything he's saying. He almost seemed like that prototypical JoJo villain that doesn't listen to the smarter guy and ends up getting wrecked.
Yeah, I mean, what I don't understand is, was his intention to kill them or just subdue them? Because even after he sucked all the air out of them, they weren't dead, were they? You know what I mean? So he managed to get the jump on them, but he didn't kind of capitalize on that. Even though on the radio in episode 7, he was saying, my task was to take him out. So I don't know. Maybe he fucked up. Maybe he's not as great as, he's a thug, like you say, right? And just a bumbling guy that made mistakes that screwed it up.
You see, the thing with that, I feel like what happened was, you see how he didn't kill them? I feel like he was just trying to use like the friends of Bruno's for like leverage kind of thing, like tell me where the treasure is right now or I'm gonna kill your friends, and I feel so bad for Zuccharo because it's like after what he did to us, it's like he didn't kill us or anything, and I get it. He's trying to get something from us, but the way we treated him after that, like how we tortured this man. Oh my gosh, I feel so bad for the guy. That's
Fortnite
just
dances.
kill me. Yeah, just kill me, man. Just kill me.
Did you guys?
I mean, the thing is that he did something that's kind of taboo within like a criminal organization like that. He preyed on his own people pretty much. That's why he deserves everything he got coming to him.
But see, the whole thing that's been presented is no one in Passione cares about, like, not that they don't care, but like, or like aren't there groups in there that fight one another, like kind of thing? There's so many different branches. It's like it's so hard to control. I kind of feel because of course there's going to be people who have conflict with one another in different turfs and whatnot.
Yeah, I think they may be. I think they're informed by how much they enjoyed the savagery, though. Like that's the problem. It wasn't that he didn't deserve it. Zuccharo didn't deserve what he got because of he kind of crossed them basically. But I thought the kind of enjoyment and pleasure they took in torturing the guy with sunlight and kicking his body and his head, and I thought, what created characters like these? You know what I mean? They must have all gone through some pretty shitty life. Like Abbacchio's backstory is tragic. Don't get me wrong, but it's not so tragic that he would be part of that. But right now, it's only Mista and Narancha who are the savages, right?
And
the
Fugo.
Fugos, yeah, Fugo. So I'm wondering what made them like this, like enjoy the savagery almost. Because I was uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie, man. Usually I'm all for like edgy stuff, but like
the way I see it is basically, if you're in that business, you gotta be tough. If you're not tough, then you're not gonna succeed in that business.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Bruno's composed though. Like I'm surprised how composed Bruno is compared to his. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure when it really comes down to it, you're gonna see his rough side.
Yeah. I
Because
mean,
there's no way he'd be so respected. I mean, it's all good and fun, being a nice guy and whatnot. But when push comes to shove, there's no way you're gonna be as respected as he is unless you've actually proven yourself to either the people around you or your team.
Yeah. Did people tell you about that dance coming into it, or were they hyping it up, or were you completely fresh on that going in?
Honestly, I was completely fresh as well. Like when I seen it, I was like, I didn't even know what was happening. I was like, what's going on? I just see the Narancha start dancing, and I see this skull, this really trippy skull. I'm like, oh my goodness, is he dancing? And everyone then you see Mista join it. I'm like, okay. Everyone just joins. It was just so hilarious. I even tried to imitate the dance, man. I tried.
Yeah. Well, even in your like afterwards or on video?
On video.
Oh wow.
I tried.
Yeah.
Just watching JoJo for so long, I almost didn't I saw that scene and I thought it was hilarious, but I wouldn't see that as an isolated thing among JoJo that someone would go out of their way to tell people about.
Yeah, but that's the problem with Twitter, man. Like, I'm speak for myself, but there are people who post manga scans. Like, how do you guys avoid manga scans on Twitter? Like, even when I don't follow people who do it, like, I always end up somehow seeing it. How do you guys avoid, like, not coming into contact with, like, people posting manga scans about something you're looking forward to? Because I saw that dance image. For me, I felt the anime did it better than what I saw of the manga scan, right, of that dance. Because obviously it's got frames of animation. It's not just panels, right? How do you guys avoid like seeing stuff about JoJo?
Follow the right people.
Yeah. I definitely I follow a lot of JoJo people, but for some reason, I guess I'm kind of lucky because when I go on Twitter, I really don't see any scans or anything of that sort. Hopefully, my luck does not start to run out, and I see like a spoiler or something. I hope not, but
yeah, don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna jinx it. Oh my God, I take it back. Please forgive me.
I mean, Discord is a much better community for something like that. So you don't really get spoiled on Discord.
Yeah.
For comparison.
But, Greece is right though. Like if someone hadn't pointed out, like made it matter of fact that dance is a big thing, you never think it was anything out of the ordinary in a JoJo, like the whole cherry on the tongue for Kakuin, right? That's just part and parcel with the bizarreness of JoJo, right? But when people make an effort to point out, look, this is going to be a dance, this is going to be a quirk, this is going to be this, then it's kind of like hard not to avoid like the hype for that, right? So, but no, in any other part, this would have been like normal. It just would have been like background noise, right? A dance area or some
just
bizarre
another funny thing that they did. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
There's another JoJo reference. That's what everyone says.
Yeah, another meme.
I've seen this one comment from one of my subscribers. They were like, "It's been 20 years since like they've been waiting for this dance." And just seeing like how JoJo has been running for this long, and it's been 20 years they've been waiting for this. I'm happy that people can see the dance get animated and enjoy part 5.
They were waiting for it in their diapers. Like what?
I mean, I don't know his age, but he was pretty happy, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah. They were looking forward to it though, yeah. And a lot of them said it was actually better. Like it was a much better done in the anime than it was the manga. Like it exceeded the expectations, which is good.
I mean, in a static way, like how would like the manga be better anyway? You know what I mean? Like the music and the visuals and the motion would really for a dance.
Yeah,
definitely. Because you see.
I mean, I'm gonna have to disagree with you lot just because I feel like I've read too many music manga and too many just manga that involve motions and that then didn't really get translated well into the anime form. So I'm gonna be the dissenting voice here because I actually disagree. I think a manga can do it really well, but it needs to spend a lot of time on it, which most of the time it doesn't have.
Yeah. And one thing I think people sleep on for JoJo, which I've noticed in this part particularly, is sound design for JoJo.
Oh,
that's one thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
Sorry for cutting you off.
No, you go ahead. Because when I hear Abbacchio stand, the noises, the sound effects, and just the sound effects that happen in general, they're so punchy and visceral. There's something about JoJo's sound effects that kind of heighten what's going on screen, right? So I think people sleep on that a lot. I think the best sound design I've heard in a show is definitely from JoJo in the last few years. And then part 3 was the same, and part 4 was like to a lesser extent.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
The only thing people keep talking about is Aura Aura and Muda Muda, and that's really it. But besides like everything else, nobody really it seems like nobody really cares.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Yeah, we can create new memes now. Thanks to the anime, we're able to create not just like memes out of manga scans, but we can now create these new memes out of clips or stuff like that. So it gives a new life to these things that people are looking forward to, or creates even more kind of memes and jokes out of it. I think so.
I definitely agree with you there with the sounds though, because every time I'm watching, I have to point something out because you can literally hear the clashing of the sword or just the armor and all of that. It's beautiful. I love the sounds. David Productions always does a great job, honestly. Yeah. Honestly, amazing. Like just how much effort they put into the series. Like, I love it. Yeah. You see a studio that cares about their, anime, their manga, and not trying to throw shade to Studio Period. You can learn a couple things.
They
couple things.
Do they deserve it over like one? Well, I don't know how many animes you think they've done wrong, right? But TG was the one we were talking about. Yeah. Or even Naruto, even Boruto, even those ones.
Yeah, it's like to me, I feel like if you can mess up one series that badly, I don't even want to look at the rest.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of Mr. Stand though? Sex Pistols.
I like
six bullets. 6 bullets.
Bro, the names they give, man. Oh man.
It's honestly the most I want to say powerful, but perhaps that's the wrong word to use, but probably the most lethal stand I've seen so far, I think. Because bullets, it's JoJo, so bullets you almost want to say they don't really matter, but a bullet is a bullet at the end of the day, and if you can deflect a bullet, or if somebody's hiding behind a house or something, you can deflect the bullet through numerous ways to still hit them. That's lethal.
Sorry.
What about Whole Horse from Whole Horse? That was pretty lethal as well. The pistol.
Yeah, Whole Horse was as well, but I feel like he could do this with pretty much anything, right? Any item or object, right? That he could get his stands to manipulate them. Like I guess a projectile. He could it's like Bullseye, right? And Daredevil, throw something.
Yeah.
Make it go basically anywhere he wants, right? Pencil.
That's definitely what I thought about. Like just And honestly, I really love the design. If I didn't mention it, like they're so cute, man. You got these like little
They're
six.
cute.
They're so adorable.
They
They're
are
so
cute.
adorable. Yo,
People were telling me that 3 gives 5 shit of his bullets, like stands, because 5 was gonna be 4 originally if it wasn't for the fact that he wasn't, So that was kind of jokes, right? Giving 5 shit, that's kind of cute, right?
No, I remember looking
maybe
at
the
it.
actions, not the design, though.
Oh yeah, I don't know, man.
I like the design.
Yeah, I mean actions, designs. I put it both together. Like when you just see like 3 just hit 5, I was like, oh my goodness. Like why would you do that? I was sticking up for 5 because I feel bad. Stop messing with 5.
It reminded me of Shigechi's harvest power, where he was going to send them to pick up coins off the street, like coins and change off the street. It's kind of reminded me of those little minion type characters. So they are kind of cute, right? It's like minions. Like I think maybe that's the best parallel you can make to them, right? They're like just minions. So.
And it kind of leaves a question in mind because we do know let's say Mista shoots off 1 bullet, and since it only has 1 stand out of the 6, the bullet goes in 1 direction. So depending on how many shots Mista shoots, it can allow the stands to guide the bullet. I'm assuming that's how it kind of works.
Yeah, they kind of they push it away, right? They manipulate it as it's moving. But this is the first time I've seen a stand be sentient, right? Like you're basically having banter back and forth between, like a pet almost. As far as if you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I always thought that the stands were like whatever the guy wanted to do, the stand does. But this one, he's having to feed them, negotiate with them, treat them good so they act correctly. This is the first time I think we've seen a stand like that, where it's like a sentient thing, right, that acts independently of the user, right? So I thought that was interesting. Like,
yeah, definitely. Just when it's like I don't remember. Maybe I'm off. Maybe we have seen more like this, but when I've seen just like the feeding, like he had to give them food. When Mr. just pulls out the table and he's eating, and then he's like, "It's my lunchtime." I'm like, "What? Really? It's your lunchtime?" They're right there, man. They're right there. It's your lunchtime, and then he starts feeding his stand. I was like, "Wait, what? They have to eat." I really like that. It's, I hope they do add more to stands like this because I always thought to myself, man, what if Star Platinum could like just talk or just do something to I would always wanted something like that.
Do you guys think that because he he's like a gunslinger type character, right? I was noticing this that Araki's a fan of what's his name, Clint Eastwood, right? The Western films, like even Jotaro's like a Clint Eastwood. Like based on Clint Eastwood and Mista having this gunslinger type power. You think Mista's his favorite character amongst all of these guys? Because I know Mista's really popular. Do you think Mista's his personal favorite character? Because I guess every one of these mangakas has a favorite, right? Or someone they insert as their kind of avatar character. Or
I think it's too early to tell. Frankly, I think it's way too early to tell. Like you look at, for example, the clear favorite in part 3, which was Polnareff. Where he basically was the main character in a way. You wouldn't even be able to tell that like in the first 5 to 10 episodes. So I think it might be too early to tell who his favorite is.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say that the way he treats them is indicative of who he likes the most. Because apparently they released, I don't know when it was, last year, someone tweeted that Araki's top 10 favorite characters or top 10, and he had Shigechi in there. He had what's his name? Like I always thought that Rohan from part 4 was like an insert character for Araki. How cultured he is, how much knowledge he has, and this is like an avatar character for Araki. I always feel as though in this part maybe he has an avatar character or someone he really relates to, or someone he's injected a bit of himself into. So cuisine and all that, salami and Italian food and all that. Maybe Mista might be that guy, but it's still too early to tell. Yeah,
definitely. I can see what you're pointing at.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe as the episodes progress, like of course, a few more episodes from now, we can decide that depending on the backstory Mista gets and all that. I feel like we can definitely decide.
Yeah.
Hopefully Mista does get a flashback though. I really want to learn about him. Like it's the thing with Mista that I really like. I like him so much. You know what I mean? It's like we just met him how many episodes? 2 episodes ago, and he's so just like his I mean, I like all the characters though. The whole gang, I love them. You know, it's like we just meet them, and it's like, wow, we're family. You know, I really like that. And just thinking about all the episodes to come, supposedly 39 episodes, and we're just gonna be seeing them through this journey.
Yeah, it's
incredible.
Yeah,
he's got the best design.
Yeah, yes.
The little helmet he has just looks pretty cool. He looks like a sharpshooter.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. The hatch work on his outfit is really cool as well. I don't know what it is. Why? Like, if you go down to the nitty gritty, what it is about his design that's so good. But I don't know. I like he's wearing like a little do rag, you know, with the side flaps, right? That when you wear those like winter hats, right? That come down. I don't know what it is about his design that's so like appealing compared to the others. But there's something about it that's kind of cool, I think. But yeah, like you say, Ken, like next episode is likely we'll get his backstory, hopefully, because he's being drawn away in that truck, right? So he's gonna have, I guess, a solo fight with whoever's on the truck, the stand user.
Wait, you guys actually think it's him in the truck?
No,
definitely not. Definitely not.
I feel they're drawing him towards a battleground or something like that. At the
I took a close look at it, and he's wearing the guy who was in the booth with calling the ferry. He was wearing like, maybe this is minor, but there was a color difference in the undershirt that the guy in the truck was wearing. His hair was different unless it was pulled up, and the shirt that he was wearing showed off like his stomach, and it wouldn't have shown on the bottom of his shirt in the truck.
Yeah. Do you think that's
and to add to that, the bloodstains didn't match up. There was like bloodstains at the door and bloodstains near the truck, but there was no bloodstains from the door to the truck.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like Mista, like that was kind of a bad call on his end, pushing towards the end, because if you look at Mista's stand, he has to be mid-range, you know, kind of thing. Like I feel like with Mista, if he ever fought someone with like a close combat stand, he would lose. He might even end up losing his life, because 6 shots, and you know, like depending on how you move guide the bullets, someone could attack you in that amount of time. So for him to get, you know, close to the enemy like that was a bit, you know, of a risk to take, and especially you don't know the enemy's ability.
Yeah, and he's
to be fair to him, he knows that Giorno is next, like pretty much right around the corner. So all he has to really do is stall.
But Giorno, it was like he was jogging. He was jogging. It was like, yo, why is he not here yet? Like, is he not here yet?
I don't even know how much he actually trusts Giorno at this point either. Each of these guys, I think it's very different from the other parts, because the other parts had a more of a stick together mentality of the crew, and this is more individualized, where they're part of a group, but they have so many actions that they take on their own, and they don't exactly mesh together.
Yeah, and it's still early days. They're like, it's not an easy friendship, right? I thought, like, compared to this, Stardust Crusaders, they actually hooked up like in a friendship really, really quickly, right?
It's fast.
Yeah, really fast. Yeah.
I feel like this is more like natural kind of thing, more realistic, because it's like of course, like Stardust Crusaders, of course there's people that could be friends easily, but more like, let's say you just meet someone and then you know, you're like, can I really trust this person, trying to get to know them and whatnot, and I really like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, right, if you look at like the previous JoJo parts, it's mainly the main character fighting against someone and then bringing them on their side, whereas in this JoJo part is literally just the main character just joining a group and then obviously trying to gain the trust of everyone. So the dynamic is different.
I do hope they build Giorno up. He's got potential to be like one of the better, obviously Joes basically. But as long as they focus on Giorno as well as focusing on the group fairly or equally, because I thought Josuke kind of fell by the wayside, kind of in the last part, because you're dealing with so many characters. I think more as each part goes on, we get introduced to way more characters. First, we only had Dio and Jonathan, right? Then we moved on to part 2, which is all Joseph and maybe 3 or 4. Then part 3 came, 4 came. The ensemble keeps getting bigger, right? So it's very easy to lose someone in all that, right? In 39 episodes. So I hope there's a good way of focusing on Giorno as well.
Oh man, I'm not ready. I don't want to lose nobody, man. I don't want to lose my people.
Do you guys think that the fight's going to take place like a set piece inside the truck? Like, I know that he's on the truck right now, but you think there's going to be a fight inside the truck or something, like a set piece with Mista?
That's probably going to be temporary, honestly.
Let's talk about this for a second. I mean, I know maybe it's a little too soon, but what do you think that suspicious person's ability could be? Like, from what we've just been presented, like with the blood, I'm kind of thinking maybe illusion, maybe an illusion kind of thing. Like, or invisibility, or is it too soon to like try to guess?
It makes me think that it's not an offensive ability because he ran right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's maintaining his distance, and he hasn't really he could have been anywhere, and he can launch. I just it's probably way too soon to even think of it because he was surprised to be found in that situation, so he was already on his back foot.
I feel like you have to look at what the relationship he had to Zuccharo. Zuccharo was meant to report back to him and tell him something about the money, and he was supposed to, I guess, go track the money down, right? So he might have more of a scout type ability where he can throw people off the scent or something like that, or track people. So I'm guessing maybe he's got like misdirection powers, like maybe create a double or create, like you say, illusion, right? Grease. So I think Zuccharo was the muscle, and this guy is more the good at finding shit. I don't know, like, hiding and
I'm not sure about that because that whole conversation in the car, he kind of left. They didn't even plan any of this. He kind of left on his own and reported back, "Oh yeah, I got these dudes." It's like, all right, I guess I'll meet you forward.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna come out and say it. I think his power is one of two things. First one, even short range teleportation, or second thing, he can create a pocket dimension. The reason why I say pocket dimensions is because I thought Zuccarino had that power, that stand, but that obviously turned out not to be the case. So I'm sticking with pocket dimension.
Pocket dimension. Man, it's funny you say that because of how unscientific JoJo is. But I guess I could work out, right?
It could be anything, honestly.
Yeah,
Honestly, man.
It could be it. And I think I was also thinking, like, Mista, he didn't shoot the bullets of the tire. Like, I mean, shoot the bullets of the tire. That doesn't even sound proper. I'm so sorry, guys. He didn't shoot the tires.
Yeah.
Like, maybe I'm thinking maybe his ability, like, he can't. No, that's kind of stupid. I was thinking maybe he can't shoot like things that are non-human, but then that wouldn't make sense because he shot the guy through the glass. Yeah, so it wouldn't make sense.
I feel like his power is so much like a Hunter x Hunter power. There's a limitation to it, right? It's very powerful, but there's always some downside. So maybe he didn't shoot because he's trying to conserve his bullets, like the manipulation that he can do to his bullets. Maybe.
Oh, that's a good one. So maybe like when he shoots a certain amount of bullets, they get tired, kind of thing. Because they have shown to be like a personality. They have personalities and whatnot.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if they'll ever rebel against him. Like maybe they don't listen when he needs them to.
Oh, that would be terrible. Like he just shoots it and they come right back at him. Like, no way.
He has to feed them to keep them happy, right? So they're like dogs, pet dogs, right? Hunting dogs, like keep them fed, look after them, and otherwise they're not going to listen to you, right? That's why his power is so weird. Like I don't know if there's any, you could even establish it in any sort of rule, right? There is no rule to the powers apart from they all come from his personality, and maybe it's because he's really rebellious and impulsive. His stand power is equally the same, so it's gonna be unruly, impulsive, headstrong. They both need to be fed to be, not be moody and all that. Something like that. I don't know.
So then,
you go ahead.
No, because mine kind of deviates a little bit. So you go on.
Okay, I was just gonna say that. I know we've been talking about how interesting this guy's stand is, but in the grand scheme of things, just even in this one part, I almost feel like his power is unique, but it's almost the most simplistic out of all of their stands so far.
Yeah, it's very easy to understand, like wrap your head around. It's not like Giorno's power or...
Yeah, he's shooting bullets and they're changing trajectories. I mean, we haven't seen the full... I'm curious if each of the numbers can maybe do something different or if it's just a different personality quirk.
That's exactly what I was going to ask.
Combine. What if they combine into something? A different form or something?
The ultimate bullet.
A small cannon or something. That's what I thought. But you lot were all talking about restrictions, but I think his power needs an upgrade almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Not a
could be like
restriction.
Koichi's maybe almost. It has another form or some sort of. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually maybe his power can level up like Koichi's. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually that would be pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's the weirdest power I've definitely seen. I've always felt that I kind of got a grasp of their powers. Like you just do what the user says, do this, and it does it, right? In his heart. But these ones are way different, right? It's like almost bipolar. It's as bipolar as he is. 1 minute he's all chill, next minute he's savage. So it's like
Do you think he has a split personality or something?
Mm.
I don't
And
know.
maybe like each personality corresponds well to a to a number.
I mean, I actually wouldn't like. It hasn't been shown that he has a split personality, but I wouldn't think that like is far off. Because remember that scene when Naranja's just listening to his music in his boombox? He's just having a good time, and Mista out of nowhere just destroys it. Like, why would you do that, man? Like, I felt so bad for the poor guy. He was like,
To be fair,
oh.
and I was 100% behind him there because I hate people that do that in the bus, for example. Too, if you're in the middle of if you're sitting at the bus and whatnot, and then somebody just has a loud volume on, you're like, come on, man, really?
Yeah. I feel like his backstory has something to do with why his stand manifested the way it did. Like split personality thing that you're talking about, I feel as though maybe his backstory has something to do with why his stand is like this particularly. We know about the four, that's simple, yeah.
That's accurate because one of the people that commented on my video said that it's interesting because Abbacchio's stand is tied to his past, just like how Abbacchio can't get over his own past.
Yeah.
So there might be some correlation between that. I don't know what it's not 1-to-1 for everyone, but that's a good theory just because it would be a good like plot and character development type of.
Yeah, it would be, and it will make it feel more like you're more tied to your stands. They're not arbitrary now. Now there's actually a very good reason beyond even the references and the look. There's actually a lot more psychological to these stands. And it's a lot more cerebral as well, these stand fights this season. They're not just like pounding on someone until someone gives way or fights back. Now it's very much about
blood.
Yeah, exactly. Thinking a little bit more about why the stand does this, what's the nature of these stands. I think that's what this season does a lot better, I think, than the previous ones.
Definitely, yeah. This, man, part 5, 7 episodes, and it's already so great. Like, I do feel this may be... Do you guys feel part 5 will be your favorite part of JoJo or no? Like so out of what we have so far, just 7 episodes, how do you feel about part 5 compared to part 1 to 4?
I mean, objectively speaking, right, this is going to be my personal preference versus what I actually think is the best. I think, objectively speaking, part 2 is probably the best. But then my personal preference is part 3, and I think part 5 will be better than part 3, will be better than part 1, better than part 4, but I'm not sure about part 2. I don't think so.
Oh, really? You see, I do love part 2 because you see, of course, who were we introduced to, man? Favorite Joestar, right? But
yeah, Joseph.
Yeah, favorite Joestar.
That's not Jotaro. That's not a favorite Joestar.
I love Joseph. He's a good guy, right?
I love Joseph, yeah.
He's my favorite.
Part 2 was good. I really liked part 2. Just the Caesar moment. Oh, very emotional, right? AC/DC, all that good stuff. Cars. But then I feel like part 3 though, like kind of, I loved part 3 because of the feeling. It felt so nostalgic. Like it was like, wow, we're really on this journey. It was so long, and it's like the characters, so much to like balance off of the fights, the battles, even just certain side characters like the Oingo Boingo brothers that we met, Hall Horse. Oh, I just love the mood of part 3.
Part 3. Yeah,
sorry about that.
Part 3 is kind of. I used to love part 2 a lot. I used to be my favorite, but over the years, part 3's kind of slowly inched its way past 2. I don't know why. Like I look back on 3 and it was fond memories, right? I think if part 5 is a better version of part 3, then it could easily be my favorite part. But it's got a lot to live up to.
Sorry, I actually like part 4 better than part 3.
Oh, why? How so? Like, how come?
Because for me, a villain is make or break for a series. Even though I love Dio, he wasn't really a part of it as much, and I just think Kira was just like easily the best villain in the entire series. and he was just so well done. And the entire chasing him down and trying to figure out who he was and the changing of him as a person throughout the series was just more compelling to me. I also think that part 3 just was too long for what it was.
2 seasons, yeah. I mean,
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
For me, part 3 really just felt like a Zelda game, and I'm a huge Zelda fan, so I was very excited by that. Just that journey, just like almost like leveling up in a way, going through like place to place to place to place, fighting these guys and these guys and these guys, and then ultimately coming to the final boss in a way.
Don't you like it more retrospectively though? You know how Steins Gate started off like really slow and then it kicked in, and then when you look back on Steins Gate, you actually remember it more fondly. Don't you get that effect with part 3 where you look back? Yeah, I get that. I hated this first season. Well, I didn't hate it, but I hated a lot of it because it dragged. Then when I got to season 2 and I finished it, you actually felt like this had been a long journey. Like it was supposed to emulate the feeling of an exhausting and long journey. And now, slowly over the years, I've grown to kind of love now. Like thing. I'm trying to think about what exactly was it that I hated that I could say objectively this was bad. I can't really say anything. It always had the formula and it did it right, and maybe it had the monster of the week thing. But now we want that almost from this part, like a better version of part 3. And I think if this becomes our favorite part, then 3 did something. You know what I mean? It set the seeds for that.
Yeah. 3 is unique.
The thing is that it's like really picking apart like something that you really love. Like I don't find much fault in part 2, 3, or 4. For part 1, there were certainly parts where I was like, wow, this is kind of generic a little bit, and then they had good parts in the middle.
Yeah.
For me, part 1 was something I was trying to get through to get to the other parts. It had good moments, certainly. Like Speedwagon was great. He was a good moment, and what was his Jonathan's the guy who taught Jonathan everything.
Yeah.
Zeppeli.
Yeah, I really liked him too.
Yeah.
But the part 1 was definitely like a super simplistic story, but I think it's early times, and for me, just finding out stand powers and all that stuff, and Joseph as a personality was so much stronger that when I'm just deciding between all the parts, it's really minor things. I never really felt like I wasn't enjoying any of the parts.
Yeah. Do you guys think that like the people say that part 1, 2, and 3 were considered like a trilogy, like a contained trilogy to do with Dio, Stone Masks, and it had its own like a mythological vibe, right? Where you got old London, you've got a traveling to Egypt or across the world. It's got a very romantic adventure like kind of thing going on, right? It feels like a trilogy. Now this new one is about much younger, cockier, more teen Joestars, right? A modern setting, really heavily populated. Do you guys feel that the old stuff you'll remember more fondly, or you actually prefer this new stuff with much more trendy looking, edgier, hipster Joestars, right? What do you think compared to the old trilogy?
Honestly, I do like to see it moving forward, of course. I mean, I love the old stuff, right? The old stuff will always be a thing that I love. But the new stuff, just seeing the new styles, new clothing, new designs, I love it. I just love it, and it's amazing, honestly. I really like how it really fits in. You can, because of the clothing and the outfits, you can tell like the mood of the part.
Yeah. It's crazy 7 episodes in how much has happened this season, because I think these first 7 episodes are like straight, I mean, all good. I can't really say anything bad. Like one thing we don't talk about on these podcasts, is there anything that you don't like about these first 7 episodes? Is there any nitpicky stuff? I know we're going to be nitpicking, but is there anything that you would do better or you didn't like about these first 7 episodes?
One thing that I don't like that is of course the subtitles, but David Production has nothing to do with that. Like, the subtitles, it's all about like who publishes the anime. Like I want the subtitles to be exact. You know what I mean? So, but of course, copyright reasons and whatnot, it can't, sadly. But that's all, honestly. Nothing. I mean, I'm trying to think. I really can't find anything. What about you guys?
Honestly, I think it's not even really a nitpick. It's not even really an issue, actually. It's just there, I guess. But the only thing is I would have loved the structure to be explained better, the hierarchy of the gangsters. But it was basically just like mentioned for like, a minute or so, not even a minute, and then that's it. So perhaps that I would have loved to have maybe explored more deeply. But again, that could happen in the future. So perhaps I'm speaking too soon.
Yeah, I mean, part four didn't. I felt part four kind of missed the mark on world building. I know Mori was a stationary town and it's populated with fascinating, interesting characters. I think the world building was decent, semi decent. We had those side episodes where Cinderella's and the barber woman and all that. So it did fill out that world, but then it kind of lost that when it was like full steam ahead towards the end. I feel as though you're right in a way. They do need to build up this world a bit more, like the hierarchy, the relationship that these factions have. But apart from that, I've been nitpicking, man. It's been a strong 7 episodes. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like it's been a strong 7 episodes. Yeah.
I think the only thing that like kind of left me scratching my head a little bit was just how quickly Bruno trusted Giorno. I wasn't sure if he like the way he talks about him to the rest of his crew almost feels like he puts him at the same level as the others, and I don't know if he did enough to warrant that yet.
Yeah, and even Koichi as well, saying, "Oh, he's a good guy," just because he met him for like a couple of minutes.
But I feel like it's his personality. You know how they kind of have zodiac signs and whatnot, and like how people like the aura that people give, you can like them and whatnot. But I feel like when it goes to Bruno, I kind of look at it like this, right? Giorno, he had a chance to kill Bruno, and we can say Bruno also had a chance to kill Giorno, but they stopped. And I feel like a battle between two men, like after you like fight two men, you can create a bond, and like that bond is unbreakable because you used to be enemies, but now you're close. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Danganronpa.
Yeah, Danganronpa.
Mondo and Taka kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
It kind of reminds me of something. I'm not gonna go into it like spoilers or anything, but it kind of reminds me of something like that. Like when you battle with another person and whatnot, like a life or death situation, or just even a battle, like you become stronger, like closer together. If you can, man up and respect one another's beliefs after.
You kind of understand each other in the heart of battle, right? That's like a very shonen thing, like Naruto, Sasuke, like no words needed, right? You just trade blows and you understand one another, right? It is kind of like that. But one thing I'll be wondering is that you know how stand users are drawn to each other. Like I don't understand. What does that mean? Does that mean like you want to walk down a road, like you want to walk down this alleyway for no reason? Like, what does it mean to be drawn to another stand user? Like, it's like a magnet or something? Like, you just bump into each other? That's one thing I've been wondering lately, because that's the reason that they've been giving for all these stand users to just be meeting each other, right? Just bumping into each other. And that was what they said in part 4 as well. What is it? Like,
the way I understand it, it's just like almost like a causality thing where if you ever stand and somebody else has a stand, you're gonna automatically just get close. Yeah, in a way, like talented people meet talented people, that kind of principle.
Yeah.
I look at it as a string of fate type thing.
Yeah,
string of fate. Yeah.
Yeah, like a preordained. Like if you have a stand, you're destined to meet other stand users.
Yeah. Do you guys think? Do you guys?
This may be like a bad point to say, but it's like, for example, black people meet black people kind of thing. I always see a black person, you know what I mean? Like, or like kind of like that. That's kind of a bad way to present it.
Yeah. Do you guys think we'll see more animal stands, like animals that have stands? Like the
I hope so. I want to see Harambe again.
Oh man. What a pervy
thing. That was
pervy. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I would definitely love more animal stands.
Yeah, animal stands would be just. It'd be interesting about how this gangster organization is just going around shooting arrows into like pigeons and fucking rats on the street just to fill out the numbers. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Because we had a rat, we had Harambe, and like they have to do something. Like we need something.
Yeah, like an attack dog. Like give an attack dog that the gangsters have a stand or something. I don't know. Make a reference to some old gangster flick or something with creatures. I don't know.
What are your thoughts for episode 8?
Episode 8 is going to be great. I think obviously we're going to get the conclusion, but I also think they're going to do the same thing they did with Abbacchio, where we're going to find out some backstory in the first 5, maybe 6 minutes or so. Yeah. And I think they're going to do that for each member, like the next 5-6 episodes, where we're like going to find a backstory out for each member, and then once we know each other, they're going to get closer to with Giorno, and then the plot slash story can go forward.
Yeah, I agree with Prince. I think the exciting thing is backstory, which I never thought I'd say that. I was always looking forward to the fights, right, of stand fights, but now I'm actually really excited to see the backstories more than anything after the whole Abbacchio stuff. Yeah, I'm with Prince on that.
Yeah, the backstory is that. I mean, I've always been like, whenever I watch an anime, I love to just know about the characters, their flashbacks, and all of that stuff, because it really connects you more to the character. So I always am interested, and I can't wait to see everyone's backstory. Narancia, Fugo, just even off their personality, like how you saw Narancia, like he's kind of an idiot. No offense, of course, but and Fugo, like he obviously has anger problems. I just want to see, know, what they've been through and all of that. I'm really interested in that.
Do you guys think that they're trying to evoke the Stardust Crusaders vibe, right? The feel, the adventure, the traveling, the group, right? Do you think because people are kind of going into it thinking, shit, this is like Stardust Crusaders, do you think one of these guys or some of these guys are going to get themselves killed? I know we can talk about that later, but do you think someone's going to just end up dead like really early in the show? Like doing something stupid?
Honestly, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Early. Not early. Yeah. It's gangster based, so I expect there to be a death in the family, pretty much.
Yeah,
I have a couple
of theories. Has there ever been a JoJo part without a main character dying?
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
the numbers, man.
Yeah, definitely. Oh man, I'm scared. I'm scared, guys. Like honestly, like I'm just thinking, like, who's gonna die? Who are they gonna kill? You know what I mean? And
but do you think that would undercut your appreciate, like your reaction? Because half of you's kind of expecting it, like maybe you'd go the whole season without nobody dying, but something else in its place happening, which is equally like.
Yeah, I actually think I know I said that in every JoJo part somebody has died, but I actually think someone is going to die in this one, and the reason for that is that I think this one is going to go a more lore-based route, and I don't know why I've got that feeling just because of Abbacchio's flashback. But I feel like this is going to take a much more law-based route, and the characters aren't going to die, but they may end up in prison.
Oh, that's pretty interesting, because you see, then it adds like the effect that they're not dead, but they're in prison, so they can't really enjoy life to the fullest, kind of thing.
Yeah.
How many people in anime end up going to prison and staying there? None.
That's true.
Even Joe, without going too much into it, but like even those characters.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like with the whole death thing, even though we know a character may die, I feel like the whole thing with it is the shock value, because we don't know how it's gonna happen. Let's just say let's say Fugo just trips and dies or something like that. We're gonna be like, what? He just died? He tripped. You know what I mean? It's more about like we don't really know how it's gonna happen, and I feel like that, like seeing it when it happens and how it occurs, what actions lead to it will really lead, like change the reaction up more than just like, oh, we knew this, but still it didn't happen the way we thought it would happen.
Yeah, and another thing we can look forward to is the antagonist, right? Every part has this antagonist that like really overcomes our heroes, right? Like we still have to look forward to this like force, right? That will be like outwitting them, overpowering them, like the main villain, right? For this part. So.
That's the thing, right?
And
in this part, we still don't know who the main boss is.
Yeah.
So it kind of gives me. I'm really looking forward to this part, basically because it gives me part 4 vibes where we didn't know who Kira was, but there were all these like murders happening all around the town.
Yeah.
So it's almost like they were working up to a mystery, and that's what makes it so interesting.
Yeah, I just good that you mentioned that, because I think this is exactly the part that's going to do that as well. Considering we've got that little tidbit where like each gangster has like a hidden identity almost that they don't want to identify in public, and I think the main villain this time is not going to have a powerful stand, but more so a deceptive one.
Deceptive one, yeah. I mean, he must have something over people to command that much power. He's got to have something unique that helps him command that. And it can't just be, oh, I can change you to stands. He must be super powerful. I can't imagine anyone commanding an army of stand users like that without like being
and not have a power. Because like Bruno, look at how Bruno is, his strength. If Bruno could, I mean, but I feel like the whole thing with it is the mystery that we don't know who the boss is. Nobody even really knows him except the capos and whatnot. And I feel like, what if we've already seen him? Like, I always think to myself, like, what if we've already seen the main villain and we don't know? Like, we just don't know it, and we've seen it.
that too. Yeah.
What if he's just among them? Like, exactly. Like, he's just among them, and we just. What if it's Narancia? Like, I'm just like just making shit out right now. But what if it's some guy like just the bed boss and shit?
I think that's something that more people should like. The series that are like trying to identify someone. I had the same thought when I was watching that the last episode when they were trying to find the guy on the pier.
Yeah.
When they were scanning with the binoculars, I was really hoping that he would just show up in the binoculars, but it'd be like a dramatic irony moment where they don't know what he looks like, but we do.
Yeah.
And nothing like that ever happens.
But that's why I think the season is going to take much more of a detective / investigative tone. That's why I don't think the main villain will have like a powerful stand, but more so a deceptive one. Maybe create, I don't know, spawn 100 people.
We were talking about this, I think it was the podcast before last, but when people manifest a stand right through arrows, it's all random. There's no accounting for the fact about what power someone will manifest, right? But the fact that this head boss has gone so long, changing so many people, and no one's manifested a power that could really contend with this guy or his power, like it's interesting, right? Like if you're gonna go around changing people like that, one of them is gonna get a power that can like is your weakness almost, like in a traditional way, right? So it's weird. Like I want to know who this guy is more than anything. I think even more than like Kira from Part 4. I want his identity itself is the big thing, right? Just knowing what his power is the big thing. It's like Dio, right? What is Dio's power? And like how many people had to die to find out what Dio's power was? I think now it's even better than that. First, you got to find out who he is, what his stand power is. Then you got to figure out how it works and how the hell like he's got an army between him and them, right? So
yeah, honestly, I can't wait to see it. I feel like the whole thing here is if we did see him, I feel like we would have noticed because I feel like the main villain, he has to have some unique design. Like just like Kira, he has to have like some type of design that because I don't know, like I don't remember, but I believe Kira was shown in Part 4, like in previous episodes before we even knew who he was.
Yeah, he was. He was crossing the street or something.
Yeah, he was. So he was shown
store or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he has to have like a unique design. Like I'm literally every episode, I'm looking every millisecond to see someone unique. Like just scrolling through, like where is he? You know what I mean? I'm just looking for him.
Watch them troll you, and he looks very generic.
Honestly, I'm thinking, what if it's a big troll at like the one at top? Like you remember in JoJo? What was the one? Like the sun guy? How he had like we thought it was this strong ability, Part 3, but he had all it was like a mirror or something like that.
Yeah, and he was like a nerd, like sitting behind a computer or something. I forgot what it was. A desk or something.
Could you imagine the main boss is something like that? Like he just has all these power like over people, but the whole thing the reason why he has his power is because of fear. People don't want to test him because he's the boss. Because they already have a fear. Yeah, he has money, he has everything, and in their head they're already like, this guy's powerful. Why would I risk my life? I don't even know his ability. I don't know anything about him to attack him, kind of thing.
What's also good is that this season, Kira was kind of mentally ill, basically, right? Women's hands he was cutting off and all that. So he was basically a mentally deranged dude with a stand power. This season's got so many deranged people with traumatic pasts. Like giving stand powers to people like that is like a lethal cocktail, right? It's going to cause way more drama and it's going to be way more vicious and visceral and bloody, right? Like Kira was just one guy who was a serial killer with that power. But now you've got like a whole town full of murderous thug serial killers with that power going on. I think that could be really interesting. And this guy could just be the most sane dude ever. Like just a sane, normal, business dude with some strange stand power. It would be interesting, man, like to see. Making his way up the chain, right? Who's this guy? And how is it that he's able to control this many thugs and people who are basically disorderly? Because, you know, who was it that was saying they're disorganized? Memory, right? He was saying they're all literally disorganized. How does the one guy at the top manage all these disorganized guys, right? Or is there just like chaos that he's allowed to let flourish, and it's a big distraction from what he's up to, really? So I think.
Yeah, that is true. Because like if you have everyone under your, you know, I always think to myself, how come no one has revolted? Because you have all these people under your power. There's definitely going to be one hot shot, someone who thinks that they can, you know, overthrow you and gain the power. That's always how it is. Like one person will always try.
Well, the thing is, you can't really overthrow him because you don't know who he is. Nobody knows who he is. So I feel like his power comes from influence more so than his stand, and more so than fear. It's his influence and money.
Yeah. Do you guys think this is like just me theorizing, right? I don't like theorizing too much, but Giorno's backstory about the guy he saved, the gangster he saved,
that's
is
the boss.
kind of like what if it bookends what if they bookend the show with Giorno actually knows very well who this guy is? Like I think that would what if
honestly though, what happened to him? That is a big question. What happened to this gangster? Because we do know, like, he just disappeared. I feel like maybe he's dead, and there will be a flashback going on that. Because because of course we don't know half of his childhood. What happened after he realized he wanted to be a gangster? I feel like maybe something's gonna happen to a point where Giorno, because of Giorno, he died, kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know, like something like that. Like you know how he didn't want Giorno in this lifestyle. Giorno does something. He goes into like an enemy gang area, and the guy gets riddled by bullets because of Giorno. Something like that.
It definitely feels like there's going to be an emotional connection somehow between whoever the big boss is and Giorno. I think the fact that they're playing it like really like playing their cards close to their chest, I feel that would be a really good resonant kind of moment, right? Where you find out, fuck, Giorno's not been telling us much about what his real motivation is. And now we find out that, shit, he's facing this dude down and he's connected somehow to his past or something. I think that would be cool. Like a gangster flick or something.
Yeah, honestly, like, the thing that I love about this part is, like, you know, we're watching it and it's like, wow, I'm just like, I really am invested in these characters and I want to know more. Like, I want to see I want to see more. Giorno, show us more. What happened? You know, tell us the full story. And same goes back to Abbacchio. I feel like, not that it was short, because I feel like it was handled properly, Abbacchio's flashback. Like, it was handled properly, you know what I mean? We've seen everything that went on, but I still felt, after watching the episode, I was like, I need more, kind of thing. I want to see more.
Yeah, I think they'll dole it out across the season. I think that'd be the best way to do it, rather than just go like, oh, here's 2 minutes of a backstory. Now you have to be fully invested. I think, like you're saying, they're gonna delve more into it as they go on. I think, like across the season. Yeah. Do you guys think that this is the best animated season you've seen of JoJo so far? Because I know part 3 was really well animated. Would you say that this part 3 or is best animated? I think this is the best animated season so far.
I'm not sure, because I feel like they all looked very, very good, but they all have a very different. I think they all have a very different color palette as well. Not just speaking of the animation, but also the art style. I think they all have a very different color palette. For example, like part 4 had a very, if I remember correctly, like a very pink, orangey color palette, and I feel this one has much more of a, almost like a LA noir / open ocean vibe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a setting that dictates the color palette, I guess. Like, they're in Italy and they're like, you know, in these like the architect. It's a setting. I think Morio had its really orangey, like you say, orange blue kind of thing going on, right? But I think that was just because they were in high school outfits, right? Most of the time, Okuyasu, Josuke, Koichi. And it felt like an afternoon. It always felt like an afternoon in Morio over there. So, yeah. This one's more daytime and everything.
Honestly, you know, I always thought to myself, they're high schoolers, but yet they can do all this. When do you study? When do you read your books? Like, come on, man.
You don't.
They're always broke as well.
They're gangsters.
Yeah.
Oh, man. You know, honestly, I do like part 5's art like a lot, because it's really I really love the fact that it changes over the parts. Like, part 1 is not the same as part 2. Part 2 is not the same as part 3. And then you even have the Rohan OVAs, which art style was completely different from all the parts in general. Like, it's completely different.
So this part that they're animating, is it like the style in the manga, or is it like a different style to the one in the manga? Like, just to confirm.
You're asking the wrong person because I think none of us have read part 5 in the manga, but from what I've heard, Araki's art style changes quite dramatically. So it evolves quite a lot. So I'm assuming it's very similar and very faithful to the actual manga.
Yeah. It would have been interesting to see if this part was like drawn in the Rohan OVA style, right? Like, I know it wouldn't have been faithful to put it in a different style, but it would have been interesting because I really liked the Rohan OVA style, like that particular style of drawing. But I guess you have to keep it faithful this season, right? Just so you don't piss people off.
Yeah, definitely. Because I can already imagine people upset about that. Why is it in this style? This wasn't part 5. This is not part 5 style, something like that. But I really do as well love the Rohan art style. It's really different, and I really like, just the faces, the hands, how stubby they were and all that.
Yeah. Do you think we'll get a spin-off? Like, Rohan got a spin-off because of how popular he was in part 4. I don't know if it exists already, but is there a spin-off for, like, any characters? I know it would be spoiling it. I don't know what the chat's saying, but it'd be interesting to see if
the spin-off could be a flashback, so it might not be spoilery.
Oh, sorry. Someone already said that there's I can say this ain't a spoiler. Like, a Fugo gets a spin-off, right? Like, he's got a spin-off manga, doesn't he? Fugo as a character, as a spin-off. I think Brian was telling me something. Maybe they could even adapt that at some point. But then or they might just incorporate it, I guess, into this show. Give him more development in this show, maybe.
Yeah, they could pull something off like that. I feel like that would be like a better move. If it's, depending on how the spin-off is. If it's just like a spin-off, like, Fugo's Day at the Beach, something like that, then it really wouldn't be good, to put it in part 5. But if it's a spin-off on a flashback, definitely add it. I want to see more of Fugo. I want to learn about these guys. I've been told that I don't show Fugo any love, but I didn't.
I've had no reason to yet.
Yeah, I feel like, honestly, all the characters are so unique and whatnot, and like, out of all of them, don't you kind of feel like Fugo's kind of, I don't know. This is
the issue, which I was talking about part 4, that when you've got so many characters you're juggling, inevitably somebody gets sacrificed, right? Or somebody like gets the short end of the stick, like when it compared to like other characters. So it's like Kakuin in Stardust Crusaders. He didn't get much compared to the others. Polnareff got a lot. Part 4, Koichi got a hell of a lot. Josuke, I don't feel got that much. And now in this part, somebody's gonna basically fall by the wayside. And I guess Fugo might be that guy. I don't know. David Production might decide, you know what? Let's give him his due because we're adapting it. Because Abbacchio's backstory doesn't come till later, I was told. Someone told me that Abbacchio's backstory like this doesn't come till much later in the manga. So they are changing things around. So it'll be interesting to see if they do that with Fugo. So
I actually did hear that David Production there's certain scenes that they're changing up for like to make the anime like more understandable and better for like the anime onlys. And I really respect that as well, because just the fact it really shows you like the love they have for this series and how they're giving it their all. The fact that they would go into adding certain scenes or even just changing stuff, like changing something in the animation or fixing certain scenes, like I heard they've been actually doing a lot. Like it's really you have to give respect.
Yeah, exactly. And the animation games really improved. I think even if you prefer the older parts animation, their animating has gotten really good. They're putting like the effort in for this. It's not like they're outsourcing their animation. Even that dance had great animation. Usually you don't really need to put like crazy amounts of good animation for that dance, but the fact they did, it kind of shows you that they're gonna fully commit to this one. So I think that's good.
Do you think we'll get a spin-off series in between part 5 and 6? To essentially buy them time for part 6.
I hope they could do something like that, but I don't think so. Because you see, if you think about it, all the parts, like there's been just a wait. You have to wait. Like from people were thinking part 5 would never come. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Part 5 never and whatnot. How many years was it? How many years was it since part 4 finished that part 5 didn't air?
3 years, I think.
3 years.
Yeah, 3 years.
Yeah. So that's the longest I believe it's ever been. right? Because usually it would be year by year, was it?
Yeah.
Part 2
I
would
mean,
go then part
it's
3?
not really that long though. I don't want to say 3 years is that long, considering it's 39 episodes, I think. So it's not that drastically long, because usually the seasonals, they come out once a year or whatnot, but only 12 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, Attack on Titan was what, 4 years? People waiting between
Yeah.
seasons. Yeah.
Yeah, and with Attack on Titan. Oh, sorry about that, Grease.
No, it's go ahead.
The thing I was gonna say, like the thing with Attack on Titan, the thing I love about like the JoJo community and whatnot is the fact that JoJo, like, it hasn't aired for a while, 3 years, but it comes back and everyone's still here full force waiting for it, full throttle. But when it came to Attack on Titan, we can say that the community kind of is like it's split a little bit, because Attack on Titan used to be more popular. It got a lot of people into anime. I've heard it everywhere. Like the hype it was for it, the movies, all of that. It's not the same. It's not the same after 4 years.
It's not the same. Yeah, it's not. A lot of people dropped off this season. I know we're going off on a tangent, but yeah, a lot of people dropped off this season Attack on Titan. I think because they just want more Titan, right? What they remember. And then when it came back, it was like...
Well,
Sorry, say that again. I was gonna say, if you I think that's the difference between Attack on Titan and JoJo's. There's like Attack on Titan has a huge following, but when it became as big as it did, I don't think any series has ever gotten to the heights that Attack on Titan achieved when it was airing. Because it was like in car commercials, like in Japan, it was everywhere. But like that was a wave that they needed to ride. For JoJo's, it's more of like a cult fan base that no matter how long you make them wait, they're just happy that they eventually get it.
Yeah, and they're more standalone. Each season is more standalone for JoJo as well. Like I think you can,
That's exactly what I was just about to say. That Attack on Titan, with the actual anime, people are waiting for a continuation of the story. Whereas with JoJo, it's almost like, here, blank slate, start again from the beginning, have some fun.
Yeah,
I don't think people view it that way though.
Yeah.
I have to disagree, because I think I've seen so many people say, so for example, like, this part is my favorite part, but I hate this part, and I don't like this part, but this part is great. So I think people do view it as parts rather than a continuation of a story.
Yeah. And somebody was saying, like, they wish that JoJo got the mainstream success, right, that the other shonens get. What is it that holds JoJo back? Like, look at all of us, right? We all have different tastes in anime. It's not like we all agree with each other, right? Like when we're all yes men saying, oh, JoJo's amazing. We all have our taste. But what is it that still holds JoJo back? Because I know how popular this season is, like with the fans watching us and the views and all that, but it still doesn't seem to hold a candle, like in the broader sense, to One Piece, Boruto's, Black Clovers. Like, what is it about JoJo that puts people off, you think? Even now, like, even stereotype.
You look at anyone that starts JoJo, what is the first thing that they have in mind besides the art style? What is the first thing that comes to mind when you think JoJo?
A lot of people just go, it looks gay. Like, that's all I see. Exactly. People writing about it, yeah. But I don't see it.
Yeah,
that's exactly
I feel like I don't know what holds JoJo back, honestly, because I feel like I've got a couple friends into JoJo. I told them, just check it out. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. It's not homophobic or anything like that. Just watch it. You're gonna love it. And they watched it and they're like, oh my gosh, this show is so good. And they always tell me about it. Now they're also into it. Like, you know what I mean? Telling me all this stuff like, oh my gosh, Dio, oh my gosh, this. And I'm like, man, I already seen that years ago, man. Don't stop talking to me about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, but it's so many parts in, right? Like, Khan started JoJo part 1, right? And he's doing FMAB and Gintama as well, and he likes FMAB, he likes Gintama, but he's having trouble with JoJo part 1, which I think is probably the least gay, like you could say the least gay looking, if we were to say that, right? The least gay looking.
It's just slow. Part 1's just super slow, and it doesn't seem, when you first watch part 1, if you just take it in a vacuum, especially the first couple episodes, it's just the story of this dude being a jerk to this guy who's super nice. Like, dog, and I was like, this is drastic. What the hell is this?
Rest in peace to Danny. Rest in peace, Danny.
The best dog ever.
Yeah, everyone in the chat, please. Rest in peace, Danny. Everyone in the chat, please.
I pushed through because of how I'd heard how great of a series it was. That's the only reason why I initially got through those first few episodes of JoJo. I was like, this is really weird to me too. Like, the art's weird. The era's really old. something about being a true gentleman. I was like, what the hell is this?
It was never uncomfortable for me to sit through. Like, it was never I know it's slow paced, but I don't know what discomfort people have. You know, some people have visible discomfort watching a show. I don't know why part 1 has such a visible discomfort, because like we're like what 5 parts in now, and the manga's up to 8. So you think that the word of mouth would have spread by now, and that people would go, oh wow, this looks hype, and part 3 is the one that really put it on the map, right, for the West. So
well, you also have to think about, you can't really tell someone what JoJo is about. What are you going to tell them? Like, oh yeah, JoJo is about stands. Then they watch the first 2 seasons and they're like, what's a stand? And then you tell your friends, or you tell them it's about a mask, and then they get after like the second season, they're like, why is there suddenly a stand? You can't really quantify JoJo. It's just bizarre.
Yeah, it's the standalone nature of this, because every part is so different from the last that you almost feel encouraged to skip. This is why that guy, what's that guy, Mother's Basement, that's been going around telling people you can skip 4 parts of JoJo, 4 parts of JoJo, because I'm starting to understand why he said that. Because some people just can't sit through part 1 and part 2. Like, I've kind of realized that they're so standalone-ish, these parts, that there might be one part that is just really amazing to someone, and then other parts that, like, you know what, like, I just grit my teeth and sat through it just so I can get to the good stuff, right? But you have to watch it all, man. I think be patient with it. Yeah,
definitely. Honestly, like, I never seen it like that, because I enjoyed part 1. Of course, part 1 is not going to be my favorite part of all. It's actually one of my least favorites out of all the parts, but it's just the buildup of everything. You know what I mean? Of course, just even meeting Jonathan and Dio. But all the other parts, to me, like, I enjoyed every single part 1 included. Just making my way up towards the journey. Maybe it's because I myself am someone who likes watching long animes, and just even like putting myself into the series and really, getting immersed with it. So I really loved, JoJo for that.
Do you think these animes like do well, right? Ratings wise, these JoJo animes. Do you think there'll be a point where they just stop making JoJo anime adaptations? We were worried that part 5.
I've heard they're doing exceptionally well.
Yeah,
They're
definitely.
doing really well. Yeah. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I think part 5 is actually doing the best right now in terms of ratings out of all of them, from what I've heard.
Nice. Oh, that's good then. That's good though. I mean, you definitely sense it in the community that people are really, really rabid, like really hungry for this, which is good, because I think part 4 was where it could have gone like here or there. You know what I mean? Like ratings wise, we might never have seen part 5 there.
Yeah, I definitely feel like, the ratings is going well.
Yeah.
But
what?
Awkward silence.
Exactly.
I mean, do you know, like, considering that we do this every 2 episodes, some people are asking if we should do it every 3 episodes. But considering that there's so much going on, so dense, right? Like these episodes so far, I think it's on track to be the best season, one of the best seasons of JoJo. The fact that there's so much conversation going around, and the fact that it's dense in the sense that these stands are so complex, right? That we still don't know so much about these stands. There's so much to figure out. So I think we can talk a lot more. I mean, if we were to sit here and do a podcast after 2 episodes of part 1, can you imagine how short that conversation would be? Like,
you know what? Contrary to what you two were, contrary to what all of you are saying, I actually didn't think part 1 was necessarily slow. I just didn't think it really explored much until like the later half. Like the first half was more so about the characters, and the second half was more so about the world. I guess the world building came later. So I don't think it was necessarily slow. I just think it should have handled it more evenly throughout the season. So I think if this was a part 1 podcast, I think we could still talk for a long time.
Yeah, true. We could probably cover, but then again, you could probably cover all of part 1 in one podcast. You know what I mean? Like, rather than how densely packed these episodes are.
Conceptually, it's not very out there, part 1. Comparatively, because it's the main thing is the Hamon power is the only really quirky thing that you don't really see in anything else, and the presentation of how they the art style itself is very different. But it's a lot of a story, mainly if you boil it down, about a vampire.
Yeah, Yeah, it is. Yeah.
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 So that's why it's easier, the most easy to talk about and the least complex. And it's probably something that people like, it's like, oh, this is just a vampire story. Maybe that's why. The thing is, a lot of people don't even like try JoJo. So that's the main thing. And I've never heard the homophobic thing from anyone. I just don't know why people don't watch it.
People always say that it looks kind of gay, like offhand remarks, right? I don't think I've ever said that. Yeah.
A friend of mine, I've tried getting him into it, and he was like, "No, I'm not gonna watch that gay stuff." And I was like, "What do you mean? It's a good show. Watch it, fam."
Yeah.
He was just like, "Nope, I'm not gonna watch that."
Yeah, it's weird though, man. Like I think it's because it's colorful, really funky and colorful. But look at some of the stuff in One Piece, right? Look at some of the characters in One Piece. How can you not look at some of those characters, right?
You gotta be careful out with your words, fam.
I know that, but you know what I mean? There's a double standard almost. There's almost a double standard when we compare One Piece, Naruto, Hunter x Hunter to something like JoJo, because JoJo has disposable characters. You don't have a one villain who has a 200 episode arc across the space of 700 episodes, right? JoJo is very much every season is standalone. It has enemies that are disposable. They can be gone in 2 episodes, onto the next one, onto the next one, onto the next one. It has one villain almost every season. So it follows a different format to these other shows. But there's a big double standard, I think, when coming into JoJo compared to those. And I don't think you could compare JoJo easily with the Shonen Jump stuff, the major stuff. So it's really difficult, man, to get people into JoJo. I think people should give it a try if they're tired of this formula, I think.
I don't know if I'd make the One Piece comparison, honestly. The thing is, like, even for me personally, when I was getting into One Piece, there had already been 700 chapters out. And it took me maybe like 4 years of thinking of doing it before I actually did anything. And that was just because of how many people really liked it. And I just thought I'd give it a try. Maybe JoJo, when it, for us, a lot of people jumped onto One Piece when it was first starting out. So they didn't have that huge catch up to get catch up to all the current stuff. For us, JoJo, it's so old that you have to catch up like fairly early. Like there's already a lot of JoJo in the beginning, so it might have been harder to jump onto.
Yeah.
I mean that really just depends on what you view as long, because I don't think JoJo is really necessarily long.
Yeah, it's not. It's short. I mean, even when you take each season by itself, which you can watch, it's not that long, really, when you think about it. There's not an arc. You know what I mean? Like Stone Moss stuff is only lore heavy. It's only feeds into the lore. It doesn't really have a lasting effect on things that happen much.
I'm talking about the manga. I'm talking about the manga.
Man. Yeah.
Oh, all right. I mean, the thing with JoJo though is right, like, and I feel like that's why it's also a little bit hard to get into, because besides like the main characters, there are so many side characters. It has a little bit of like the issues that LOTGH has, where it has like so many side characters.
Yeah.
That it's very difficult to talk about it without going into plot details.
Yeah.
For example, part 2. I mean, the one guy that always comes to mind is the Nazi dude.
Oh yeah,
Stroheim. Oh man, legend.
You can't really talk about him unless he like gives plot details away. And I don't think people give plot details away when talking to friends. You're not gonna tell your friends, "Yo, this person's gonna die, this person's gonna die, this person's gonna die," and I watch the show.
Yeah,
that's not gonna happen.
What organization does Jotaro work for? It's named after Zeppeli, right? The organization. What is the organization? Sorry, what foundation?
Speedwagon Foundation?
Speedwagon Foundation. I feel like they need to play more of a role, right? Jotaro seems to be this thread character, right? That seems to set off each season. So he was in part 4, he's in part 5. Don't you think that Speedwagon Foundation needs to have more of an exposure each season? Because now we're just completely focusing on something different, which is this crime stuff, and this head guy. I hope for this season that, like we were saying last time, that the lore moves more into this show. So the arrows, maybe even more involvement from Speedwagon Foundation, because now stands are like proliferated all around the planet now. Now it's like a big problem, right? So you think that Speedwagon Foundation would have more of a boots on the ground, not just Koichi coming saying, "Oh, Giorno's good, let's fuck off back to this country. Let's go to the Middle East and see what's going on over there." right? With some people with standpoint. I feel like they should have more of a role. I think like more of a thread or throwback to those stuff.
I don't view them as like an MI6 type organization. Like
I know that, but I mean, more like what are they actually doing apart from handing us over to each new season, right? Sending people like a high school student to Italy to you know what I mean? Like,
I feel like there should be an arc just specifically for the Speedwagon Foundation kind of thing. I feel like how much can you really do about that if it's just an organization? But if you just see like some of the things they're doing, like sending Koichi and whatnot, I feel like they do a lot. So there should be an arc like kind of going in about that, you know, explaining things and whatnot, or a flashback, or not even a flashback, a spin-off or anything along those lines.
Yeah, I really think the lore for JoJo that underpins everything, the whole epic the bloodline thing with Dio and thing, should always be there. Like, I know it doesn't need to be in the forefront because it's so many years after, but it should always be there, like a shadow of everything. Like, this is where it all began, and this is the shadow of all that shit that happened back then, and how epic it was, and all that. So I feel that it should always have a place, and I think arrows, like we said, will be like explored hopefully, right, in this season.
Definitely.
So well, do you think Dio will come back eventually?
Who?
Dio.
I mean, he disappeared. I mean, I don't think so. Like, if you see the way it ended off, yeah, like he's literally gone. He's gone.
Yeah.
His influence will be around, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. Like, he'll always be that person that he'll be brought up like, oh, Dio. You know what I mean? Just like here with Giorno and whatnot, like, oh my gosh, Dio. And like people will have their moments and just talk about him. But I don't think like him coming back, unless someone like recreates him or some shit. Like with Science, Speedwagon Foundation. Imagine Speedwagon Foundation has like Dio in like a capsule or some shit. Oh my god.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that would be jokes. Imagine a stand power as well that's so powerful that it can mess with events or time or something. Like even Kira had a pretty powerful ability there towards the end, didn't he? Like at the end, part 4. So imagine someone messing with time and history and something like that. I mean, I know people kind of dabbled with it with the whole Josuke in the car when the car crash thing in part 4, where was it future Josuke saving past Josuke?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So maybe like they could fuck with time a bit. I don't know. They could do anything. Araki could bring Dio back and it will feel like the most normal thing. Like legit, it would feel like the most normal thing. So
you guys know what I actually want? Cars. Could you imagine Cars coming back? Because you see, it's been shown that there's aliens. You know what I mean? In JoJo.
Yeah.
Part 4.
Yeah.
So it should be possible. There should be an arc, like even another part where Cars returns. And of course, knowing Cars, how powerful he is, he can get a stand power so quickly. He can get a stand. There's like I don't understand how he can't have a stand.
I think Kaz is just way too powerful. I think there'd be nobody who could just stand up to him. I think he's still the most powerful being of all.
What if he comes back on a shuttle? Like he sticks to some shuttle coming back re-entry, right? And he throws them out, right? Because he froze right up there, and then Iki's like back alive. That would be jokes, though. I would love to see it because anyone who doesn't have a definitive death, there's always a room to play with that, right? You know what I mean? Like even in Naruto, they've done that to death, right? When there's not been a definitive way of ending someone, somehow they managed to make it back, right? So.
Yeah, well, the worst part about Naruto is that people, even if they have a definitive death, they still come back.
They still come back. Resurrection, man.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yo. Yeah, and I definitely do agree. Cars is like, Cars is the strongest. Like, I feel like nobody could kill Cars. No one could.
Yeah.
He heals way quicker than you can, cause damage to him. Literally immortal. And I do feel like the way like they handed him off, just threw him into space. Like, hey, just stay over there. Don't come here. We'll live here. We'll live our lives, and you just stay over there. Live your life. I feel like it really suited it because it wasn't like to a point where the main characters got super overpowered or anything and got like these abilities that are crazy godlike level to beat Cars, but like they couldn't beat Cars, and because of that, they had to find different means of beating him. Because it's like every battle, like yes, there's battles that are impossible, but there are ways of winning.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't put it. Maybe like if we ask the wrong questions, we might get spoiled on it. But I feel like it's time now that there are throwbacks like that. Like if Cars comes back, he's so powerful and he's just there floating around. You can't just forever have him there without resolving that, because he's still alive, right? And there's something needs to be done with him. Otherwise, people are going to be wondering. This is what I hated about part 4. You know, the guy that says, I'm an alien, right? He calls himself an alien, but we're debating, is he a stand user or is he an alien? Will we ever get resolution to that? Or is that just a big mystery or module and we'll never get that resolution? So he's like an oddity, a part of that geographical location, right? So I feel like Cars isn't like that. Cars isn't this oddity that has to be a mystery. I think something's going to happen with him, or something needs to be done with him. So I don't know, man.
Do you actually think Cars would be overpowered? The thing is, Cars was in the story before stands were actually employed. So, you know, like someone like Rohan, you know, he taps Cars on the shoulder and he rewrites him into like a puppy. He's done.
But that's true. But you see, the whole thing with Cars, I feel like, you know, supposedly like people who have Hamon energy can, you know, have stands. You know what I mean? And just like whatnot. So like Cars, and you know, if you meet another stand user, like how we learned Giorno's stand ability was able to, you know, develop because he was close to stand users and whatnot.
Yeah.
Or he went through something. Yeah. I feel like Cars being the person, like having so much power, there is no way that he can't develop a stand. And even if he didn't develop a stand, I could see Cars like fighting, you know, Star Platinum, like punching Star Platinum back or something. I could see him like fighting a stand.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird. I still don't understand. Like, this is one thing I've always wondered. Like, people saying, oh, stands manifest after Dio resurrected, right? It wasn't just the arrows. It was after Dio resurrected, stands were born or whatever. But why? You know what I mean? Like, why are some people just able to be born with stands when back then, there was no stands back then. There was only, like, Hamon from Joseph, and there was not even no evidence of stands. You know what I mean? Back then. So why is it just the minute Dio came back, like somehow it had an effect on the world and some people were starting to be born with stands or arrows? I don't quite get it, but it's not that it matters, to be honest. Like, it's not like it's a big question that needs to be answered, but
because there was a limit to Hamon. You couldn't really move the story forward with Hamon alone.
Yeah, it was probably one of the most simplistic powers, wasn't it? Like Hamon was.
It was funny.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Back to those days. I remember like when I was watching, I was so into Hamon energy, trying to learn about it. Then I make it to part 2. They're like, "There's no more Hamon energy, Ken. All that stuff you learned, forget about it." I was like, "Really? Forget about it? Come on, man. 2 parts. Forget about it? Okay." And I just forgot about it, and I'm into stands, and I'm like, "Wow, this is interesting." And you know, it kind of raises like the question: are stands going to be like what happens going forward to the, you know, is stands, because you know Araki likes to change a lot, so is it just always going to be stands kind of thing, you know? Or I do hope it is. Yeah,
it has to, because there's a reason why you went to stands, and I feel like the reason why you went to the stand format is because it is almost limitless. The potential is just there. You can do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can tell the character stories as well with it now, especially with this part. We're realizing that you can. It's like Persona. I hate to say Persona because I know people shouted at me when I started part 3 and said, "Why are you comparing it to Persona? JoJo came first." I was like, "Look, I don't Google the history, the Google of I don't Google something I'm watching because I could get spoiled, right? So I don't know. But like, I think it brings up a lot of like you say, Prince. There's a world that you can tap into. Psychological stories you can tell. It can tell you a lot about the character. It's just a different way of conveying like characterization, I think. So yeah, like, but then I do see them moving past that as well. I can see Araki going bonkers like he did with part 2 almost, which is pretty bonkers when you think about it. Even compared to part 3, I can see Araki going back to the crazy, balmy, bonkers days where shit's over the top. I think at some point. So,
or if anything, like kind of develop on like stands, like like we've been seeing it this part, like with, you know, of course, Mista stand. How, you know, they have personalities to an extent. If maybe in the future parts we see more stands, like, you know, of course, like more personalities like that, that'll be really interesting. I would like that.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to be personality. I think it's actually. I think they're going to improve, similar to like you look at Koichi or Kira stand. I feel like that's going to happen more, where they're going to get like almost upgrade themselves or evolve. I think that's the route it's going to take.
Yeah, there needs to be a an event. You know how Dio Resurrection was an event, like almost like 9/11 style event, right? That changed everything, right? For the world as we know it, and everything that happened before. I think there's going to be some major shift. I think maybe even at the end of this season, where things will be all changed, right? Something dramatic will happen where everything we know about stands and everything will just shift. I feel that shift needs to happen in this show, because the whole Stone Mask stuff was really pivotal on the mythology. Dio was really pivotal on things changing, right, all around the world. I think another shift is coming, right? And I feel like this part, the end of this part, needs to be that thing, right? So.
Maybe Cars will come back.
Yeah, man. Cars
that would be a shift.
He's not coming back.
What if it's like Final Fantasy VII, where Genova comes back, right? Genova crash lands into like the FF7 planet, and everyone's using the cells, right? Like Mako cells, but instead just use Cars cells to create
car cells.
Yeah, Cars cells.
I mean, they're already doing that with Dio. They, Dio's manifesting all the fan people all over the place.
Yeah.
Instead of him coming back, what I think is going to happen, we're going to get like an arc set in the future, and then like somebody is going to, space travel and whatnot, and accidentally the first person to really space travel is going to find Cars or something.
Yeah. And I wouldn't put it past it for this show, because most of the time, if you theorize about JoJo, it's possible, honestly, because Araki doesn't care about grounding things necessarily. If he wants to scale it back, he'll do it. If he wants to send it into space, like Jason X or some shit, then he'll do that. But I think you never know, man. Time travel, space exploration, man. I wouldn't put it past him.
Oh man, yeah.
I just know that there's a part that has horses that are important.
Have one that takes place in the Wild West, right? Cowboys and Indians, like stand powers and shit.
I
really want to get to Steel Ball Run, because everyone really talks about that one.
Same.
That's the one that everyone hypes about. I've never seen anything where the whole fan base was so unanimous, just loving it so much.
Wait,
Yeah,
what is
the horse one?
What is that exactly? Steel Ball Run?
It's part
Part
7.
7.
Yeah.
Part 7?
Yeah, it's number 1 on Mal, isn't it? Manga. It's like number 1, always number 1 on my anime list, right? For manga or something.
Oh wow. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be a while though.
Yeah. If we ever get to that point.
I'll see you all in 10 years.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I feel like it won't be too long. If anything, like part 7? That's 2 parts, right? We're currently on part 5. Maybe 3-4 years, kind of thing.
It's gonna take 3 seasons just to get done with this season. 3 seasonal,
Yeah,
up to,
seasons
summer
of anime. Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely like 5 years, 6 years.
Do you think you'll still be watching anime by the time 7 comes out? You think life will have gone?
If anything, I'll come back to anime just to watch part 7. Then I'll probably leave. I'll leave again, kind of thing.
Yeah.
The return of the JoJo podcast.
Yeah. When we're like 60, 70 years old, we can return to watch like a future JoJo part.
I mean, I've already made my mind up. I'm going to stay on YouTube for as long as One Piece lasts. So that's my thing.
Oh, you got like another 7 years.
Not getting off of it, then.
Yeah, honestly, I believe even when I pass away, One Piece will still be airing. I just want to finish it. Guys.
Yeah, there'll be a spin-off of One Piece by that time, man. Like guaranteed. Like they want to. Yeah.
Just let me finish it, Oda, please.
Yeah. Hunter needs to come back by then. I will be 70 by the time Hunter anime.
I think One Piece will end before Hunter comes back.
I can see that happen.
Yeah.
What is it about? Like, I know he's slow with his chapters and stuff, but I'm sure people are eager to adapt his work, man. Like, it's like Bleach and Hunter, man. Like, both of them.
You just mentioned Bleach. Bleach, honestly, I don't think Bleach has a chance of being anime, but Hunter really doesn't right now, because the arc that's going on right now.
Yeah.
Let me just say this without us going into too much detail. It wouldn't be animated yet. It couldn't be animated yet.
Yeah.
It's not enough.
They don't care about fucking up Berserk and TG, so I don't know why studios have he's got untouchable status, right? His manga chapters for adapting, you know what I mean? Like, It's weird. Yeah.
Berserk could honestly be one of the best things in anime. Tokyo Ghoul and Berserk, it's sad. It's really sad. Yeah.
Did you lot see about the Netflix? I think was it like a Netflix anime or something recently? I think yesterday or 2 days ago, coming out saying that Netflix should get Berserk and whatnot, and he would then work on it.
2D, yeah.
The guy that made the Castlevania animation.
Yeah, he said he wants to do a 2D Berserk, like a proper adaptation. Yeah. But he's also the guy that's doing Devil May Cry crossover, right, with Castlevania now. So
I've been hearing a lot of good stuff about that. Devil May Cry.
Yeah, Devil May Cry and the Castlevania cartoon. What do you call it? Fucking American anime. You should watch that. I think if you kind of miss Berserk not getting adapted really well, just check out Castlevania to tide you over, and then hopefully one day you'll get your adaptation.
You watch the films? I like the films for the.
The films are great.
The amazing films. And the CG was perfect too. It wasn't like really too crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like the films.
Yeah. Are we gonna call it then? I don't think.
Yeah. I say we should call it, guys.
Yeah. I was meant to go an hour ago to study, and I'm still here.
oh my God! I'm so sorry, man.
School is cool, man. School was good.
We're definitely gonna end it here. Thank you guys for stopping by, all 50 of you. You guys are all beautiful, man. We love you all. I mean, I love you all. I can't speak for everyone. Maybe some people don't love you.
I like you, though.
we love you all.
I don't know you like that.
You guys have anything you want to say to the people before we leave?
I'll just
JoJo is a one-in-a-lifetime event. It's a one-in-a-lifetime event once every year or once every few years. So you know what? Let's just have fun and enjoy it.
Very wise words from Prince.
I'll just go. Yeah, thank you guys for watching, man. I think I like the JoJo community. In the past couple of years, you in the Gintama crowd have been really, really supportive and good. I just recommend JoJo to more people. Like, keep pushing them, pestering them to check out JoJo, and hopefully we'll get it to be as popular as as popular as One Piece and all that other stuff. So
yeah, I think we just need to work as a community, come together, find a good way to promote this stuff. I'm sure with this many heads we can figure it out.
Yeah.
Watch JoJo or you're banished from the anime community. Thank you for watching, guys. Peace out.